Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk, 888-589-8840, a number to call. And as I mentioned, we are fighting a winnable war, and we have won this round. Against the resistance of John Boehner and Eric Cantor and Paul Ryan and the Republican leadership, they wanted some kind of Mickey Mouse bill that would have two components to it, which the Senate would strip out the one defunding Obamacare and send it on to President Obama, and the House would never see it again. And we stopped that one. Just the voice of the people stopped that. Here are some excerpts from the piece in the New York Times this morning. House bill cuts health funds, raising odds of U.S. shutdown. And that's partly maybe the question I've got for you. Are you okay with the government shutting down in order to see Obamacare defunded? In order to stop this thing in its tracks, are you willing to see the government shut down? 888-589-8840. And again, we need to be encouraged by this, ladies and gentlemen. This is the voice of the people. I mean, this has happened for one simple reason. We made our voices heard. You know, the congressmen, so many congressmen have waited. They don't think this will work. It's not going to happen. You know, I talked to my congressman yesterday, very hesitant, had all sorts of reasons why this couldn't work. And now here we are, less than 24 hours later, and I'm assuming he's part of this united Republican caucus. We're going to vote on Friday to defund Obamacare. We're going to send a bill to the Senate that doesn't have a penny of funding for Obamacare. This is something they said they'd never do. It's not smart. It'll never work. Now they're going to do it. Why? Because they heard from us. Here's New York Times. House Republican leaders bowing to the demands of their conservative wing. That's us, ladies and gentlemen. Let me repeat. The New York Times admitting in the first line of this piece that we won this round. House Republican leaders against the leaders of our own party. If you're a Republican, not all of you are Republican, I understand that, but against the so-called conservative party being led by people who don't share our values. And what the New York Times is acknowledging here, this was a civil war between conservative Republicans and Republicans in name only, between Rhino Republicans, and the conservatives won. The citizen class Republicans defeated the ruling class Republicans. They surrendered, they capitulated, they accepted reality. House Republican leaders bowing to the demands of their conservative wing. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to stop there again. This is the New York Times telling you and me that we are fighting a winnable war. First line of their piece, the conservative wing of the Republican Party won this round. House Republican leaders will put to a vote on Friday a stopgap spending measure. Means it only goes through December, but it's a stopgap measure that would strip all funding from President Obama's signature health care law, increasing the likelihood that the government will shut down in 2 weeks. So New York Times says, look, that's what's going to happen. And ladies and gentlemen, 2 weeks ago, this was not even a glimmer on the horizon. I mean, Ted Cruz had like 13 signers of his petition, 14 co-sponsors of his bill, and everybody we were hearing from, never work, it'll never happen. In fact, let's grab the Charles Krauthammer. Number 2, Rob, let's play Charles Krauthammer. I got another pessimist in the bunch. This is Charles Krauthammer talking about this effort, saying this last night before the developments today, talking last night about this defund Obamacare effort.
It's not going to happen. It's absolutely not going to happen. Obama is invested in this. It's his signature achievement for Democrats. It's a historic achievement. It's their road to national health care. It passed the House. It passed the Senate, signed by the President, and Supreme Court upheld its constitutionality. They are not going to give it up. What might happen is that it could be such a catastrophe. So many Americans could be hurt by it and then begin to really strongly oppose it. Right now, they're opposing the idea of Obamacare, but not so much the reality.
What do you
that
think?
It could collapse on its own.
So Charles Krauthammer says there's no way this thing is going to be defunded. Obama would never let it happen. Well, I give you Article 1, Section 9 of the United States Constitution. We celebrated the anniversary yesterday. No money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law. Now, what about that does Charles Krauthammer not understand? Here's Article 1, Section 7, first paragraph. All bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives. All right. This is a bill that raises revenue. All bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives. Nothing mysterious about that. Again, Article 1, Section 9, no money. I asked Charles Krauthammer, what about the phrase no money do you not understand? What is mysterious about that? What's hard to understand about that? What's ambiguous about that? No money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law. That's what this continuing resolution is. It is an appropriations bill. This is an appropriation made by law. It's going to be presented in the House of Representatives. It's going to be voted on. And apparently the entire Republican caucus is going to stick together, all 235 of them. All they need is 218. So this is going to be an appropriation that's made by law. Now, it has to be signed off on by the Senate or it doesn't go into effect. But remember, all bills for raising revenue must start in the House. Senate can't do anything on its own. They can't do it apart from the House. Got to start in the House. So no money shall be drawn from the Treasury. You can't spend a dime unless the appropriation has been made by law. So if the appropriation says you can't spend $1 for Obamacare, then it can't be spent, mandatory program or not. I don't know what is so difficult for these people to understand. This is the Constitution they took an oath to uphold. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Linda, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Linda, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Thank you for taking my call, Brian. I just wanted to comment on the alternative bill from the Republican caucus. I am hoping that between now and December, they will bring forth a real legitimate bill to repeal Obamacare completely in its entirety. But my comment is, why are they doing this stopgap just till December? Is it because in December everyone's going to be focused on Christmas and what's going on in the holiday and with our families, and then they're going to just kind of quietly let this bill expire and let Obamacare go into effect in the new year?
Yeah, and I don't really have a good answer to that question. I wasn't in that caucus meeting, obviously, and I haven't read anybody giving an explanation for why they settled for the stopgap measure. I've got a quote here from Tom Graves. He's the one that authored the bill that we like. It's a one-year bill, would put this issue to rest for a year. He said he would vote for this plan because it's a step in the right direction. The American people should view this as a victory. So it's just a step. It's not. It is a victory in this skirmish, but it's not. It's not where we want to be. It's not where we want to go. Mark Meadows, who had 80 members of the House signing a letter planning to defund Obamacare, said he would vote for it, and they're uniting around a strategy. So others said, look, and all of us, I think, all of us, Linda, would rather see the one-year deal. And I don't know where the business for this stopgap measure comes from.
Well, I would really urge all Americans to pay attention and not let this expire in December, because Obamacare will just slide right on in.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that's why we're going to have to keep the light on them and keep the heat on them. I think part of the calculus here, Linda, is we're coming up against a debt ceiling in October. And what the Republicans are looking at doing is kind of negotiating with Obama over the debt ceiling increase. We will give you your debt ceiling increase if you delay Obamacare for 1 year. If you agree not to implement Obamacare for 1 full year, we will give you the increase in your debt ceiling that you are asking for. So I think they're looking at this as maybe a 3-step strategy. We'll do the stopgap thing till December. Then that will give us an opportunity in a month or within the next month to deal with the debt ceiling, and we can use that as a bargaining chip. We'll give you your increase in the debt ceiling, President Obama, but you got to agree to delay Obamacare for a year, and then they can come back in December and deal with the funding issue again. I'd prefer just a clean deal. Let's just shelve this thing for a year. That's not what we've got, but what we've got is a down payment on what we are looking for. So, but you're exactly right, Linda. This is just the first round. This is just the first skirmish. We haven't won the war yet. This is a victory, but it's a victory in a battle, not a victory in the war. Well, thank you for the call, Linda. I appreciate that. Let us go to John, Keystone, Florida. John, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hi, sir. How you doing?
Good, John. Turn your radio down so we're not distracted by the feedback.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
All right, but well, this is my first time ever calling a radio station, but I did want to ask you a question because earlier he talked about the senator and how he was talking about Christian values and we have to uphold our values, but and I do want to get to Obamacare, but why pick out one senator when almost all the founding fathers actually wanted to separate church and state and actually not have it a part of the government?
Well, John, you've just been sadly misinformed, my friend. Your understanding of American history is deficient. George Washington, the first president, father of our country, first in war, first in peace, first in the hearts of his countrymen. You know what George Washington, our founding father, said? He said, of all of the habits and dispositions that make for political prosperity, religion, by which he meant Christianity, and morality, by which he meant the Ten Commandments, are indispensable supports. In vain would that man claim the tribute of patriotism who would labor to subvert these two great pillars of human happiness. So George Washington said, look, if you want political prosperity, not talking about spiritual prosperity, talking about political prosperity, that is a stable society, a society that is economically prosperous, that's healthy, that's strong, that's vibrant, you've got to have Christianity and the Ten Commandments. You've got to have religion and morality, or you cannot. He said it's indispensable. You can't have political prosperity without Christianity and the Ten Commandments. That was George Washington, his sentiment shared by all of the founding fathers. All right, John, listen, I appreciate the call. Hope that was helpful information for you. You're listening to Focal Point on AFR Talk. We'll be back after the news. Stay with us.